This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we'll start this commission meeting with a flag salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, December 13th, 2021. We have a change up top, and I'm going to acknowledge it so I don't say the wrong thing. It is a public forum now, which you can still make a public comment, get online, and or send it in on chat. And I don't see anything just waiting on us out there so far this morning or afternoon. Okay. So not seeing that there's nobody in the room, nobody present in the room. So
I did have somebody come in this morning, and they sent me a photograph, and they said they couldn't really wait for the commission meeting.
Okay.
And but they wanted you to see a photograph of a bridge, which is at 250th west of Highway 77, and they're this. So is that okay to do that
yes,
now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So this was Carl Stovall.
Okay.
And I've got a photograph of it if I can get it pulled up here. So just a sec.
Well, you do your wonders there and make it come up.
Yeah, we'll see.
Was there any more consideration of what he was worried about at this?
He just said that he feels like it needs to be addressed because he knows at least one farmer in the area that's using that regularly, and this is the deck of the bridge, and there's a really big crack, and he says it goes all the way through. I don't know.
Okay.
Where's that at?
250? This is 250th west of Highway 77.
West, huh?
Okay. That's what he said.
Okay.
At least that's what I wrote down.
Okay, so
he says he has reported it, or it has been reported to Road and Bridge, but it hasn't been acknowledged.
Is that concrete on the left side of it?
I do not know. I don't know the bridge, 250th. I'm not real.
You know, see the banister, but then it looks like it.
Some
there's a rise there.
Some of them have that perforated
material,
metal, and then they have a thin set something on top.
Blacktop.
And if that blacktop cracks, they could allow dirt and everything to go through.
Those bridges that you're talking about, Joni, was made by over in Hillsboro.
Yeah.
Who? Andy Krause?
Andy Krause. Some of those where it has that light thin perforated metal, or the heavy thin, then it comes light material on there. Yeah. Let's pass that on to make sure that this gets to Bryce, and so we get and ask for an answer back from him to the commission.
I got two more like that on the same stretch of 1 mile. It's on 230th west of Diamond.
West of Diamond.
Yeah, there's two culverts that I stopped and looked at last night. There's holes straight down in them.
Those are culverts?
Yeah.
Sir, can you say the location again?
On 230th between Chisholm and Diamond. There's two holes in the road. Both of them are over the top of culverts.
You go down the side of the culvert?
No, I think the culvert's got a crack or something in it.
Concrete culvert?
I didn't get a real good look at what kind of culvert it was.
Well, just pass those addresses on to Bryce,
a whole fall
or Steve, or
out
somebody to get an answer back to us.
Okay.
I'm sure they're on the list, but just make sure they're on the list.
Okay.
It's been noted today that we sent it down to Bryce to get us an answer back. And thank Mr. Carl Stovall for bringing that in. Appreciate it. No problems.
Okay.
Unless somebody, any other commissioner has any other ideas to start with? No. Okay. So that's the end of the public forum. Agenda approval. Does anybody have any changes to make for the agenda?
We need to add, under the trash service, we need to also add Calvin Weeby.
Okay.
Along with Nazi.
Yeah. Okay. So noted that with that, Calvin Weeby will be on the agenda. Any other commissioner have anything?
I don't know if it needs to be in administrative or not, but I have an appointment to make for planning and zoning.
Okay.
It's on there.
Yeah, but it's not on the agenda, so I don't know if it,
Yeah.
where it fits. I'll just make a note of it.
We'll do it under administrative then. At the end of Tina's administration.
Okay.
You're not officially ending your administration, just for today's meeting.
I was gonna think you clarified.
Make sure to clarify that.
Yeah, okay.
Even though we have no control over that.
Right, right. Okay, I have nothing else to add to the agenda approval that I've heard of or anything. So with those two things, one being after the administrative business, Jonah has an appointment for planning and zoning. And then we've added Calvin Weeby that can speak in the commission discussion for trash service for, is that with the Nisley Brothers you said, Kent?
Yes.
Okay. All right, make a motion to approve that agenda.
Second.
Second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
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 Who got, oh, Jonah, okay.
I just try.
Every once in a while I just don't say anything, so.
Okay, Tina, then I'm gonna turn administrative business over to you to lead us on through here.
Okay, in your packet, you had just a public notice there from KDHE.
Yes.
You may have already had some of these revenue reports or all of them, so if I
Okay.
repeated, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
And then I have the minutes of December 6th.
Okay, I have the minutes of December 6th. Do I hear any,
Motion to approve.
I was asking for any changes or anything? Don't hear any, so I have a motion to approve by Jonah. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Mueller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Abstain.
Kent Becker was
I wasn't here.
absent, so it'd be 4 and
Except
one
for 5
abstention.
minutes.
4 yeas and 1 abstention.
5 minutes.
It was a little scratchy too. I don't know how much you heard.
I didn't
You
hear
talked.
anything. I was just rambling.
Rambled enough to get KWCH's attention.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
We do have some change orders today.
Yeah, I came up to Hill's Creek the other day. Yeah. Went over and interviewed some people around Lee Hall.
I just sat in the office and watched him film him.
Yeah, he said it.
I sat in the corner.
I called him in and he sat there and wouldn't say anything. Did make faces.
No, I just nodded my head when he was
That's hard to
speaking.
do. Jonah didn't say anything. Jonah didn't say anything.
No, I
That's
can't
hard to
believe
do.
that.
Wow.
Got to keep you on your toes.
I give you all the confidence in the world, vote, and you just say thanks.
All of the girls' Facebooks sure lit up with that sitting outside the bank. Oh.
That bank's going under.
I don't think it'd make it better if there's insurance.
Morning.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Yeah, I'm used to mornings. Over here.
Who is that guy?
Oh, man.
Mercy, look at that.
Wow.
New profile.
I'm bucking for commissioner.
We got our own Ted Cruz. Looking sharp.
Get you some insulation for that cold weather coming.
I don't know if we're gonna need it or not.
Need it for the wind.
When we least expect it, it'll be here.
Well, if I'd have filled my tags yesterday, I'd have cut it off, but I ain't filled my tags, so I'm gonna keep on going.
I got a little one yesterday.
Did you?
Finally gave in.
Yeah. I was gonna take whatever I saw, and then I seen the whole herd that wouldn't let me go past when I was driving as soon as it went too dark to shoot. So.
Well, if you got a good light.
You ever heard of thermal scope?
Hey now.
There's plenty of that going on.
I say that's becoming a popular thing.
And didn't they have a season for that or something?
No,
just
Kyle told me.
Yeah, kind of, okay, but it's do night hunting, right?
You can in some, under some guidelines, it's not just a free.
Yeah, okay. I just heard about it, I couldn't believe that they'd done that.
Yeah, everybody gets the new technology and thinks it needs to be incorporated into hunting season.
Yeah.
Not really.
Gun lobbies have good lobbyists. Get the-
Them and I don't know who.
Any of the poachers, find any of the poachers?
Poachers America, I guess, I don't know.
Poachers America. Proud to be a member.
There's plenty of those.
Yeah, those are the ones that make it bad for everybody.
It is, it's terrible.
I know some guys that put in a lot of time and money into trying to make something, and then they got
Well,
Run
yeah,
poachers on it.
guys like you going out there and trying to do it right, and, you know, be proud of what you did. And,
admitting when I can't do anything.
you know, I've spent most of the season just passing up stuff that, you know, just no reason, I just
Right.
wasn't ready, and then yesterday, it probably one I would have passed up. Just that good. Felt right to do it. Just that one.
Couldn't help but feel like the whole time, I really hope one doesn't walk by, because then, now I gotta process it.
There were some evenings I thought that too. Not so much in the morning when it was colder. but
Yeah.
it was Evening.
It's getting too late, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do all this work.
I'm pretty comfortable up here on this hillside, in the sunshine.
Got a big day tomorrow, so.
Yeah.
I haven't had that, but either, you know, the excitement of seeing one and really getting the blood for a lot of years since I quit hunting. That's something that really gets you going.
I had more fun just rattling them in and then.
I get that
Yeah.
fever every time I see one go across in front of my car, going down the road.
Oh, no.
And there's three more coming, oh, damn.
A lot more of them killed by car than there is by gun.
I venture to say that we got a lot this year.
Yeah, well, that's how, yeah, I guess I keep it straight in my head, is for every one that gets taken out, it's one less to hit a car.
One less insurance claim. Many of them.
I went to Fredonia 2 weeks ago, and there were 8 deer between El Dorado and Fredonia on the highway. I mean, and then I seen two other bunches. This is during the day, go across in front of me.
And they were at the tail end of the rut, yeah. And, once it quit, they disappeared.
Yeah. Well, it was just all perfect. Didn't see nothing all day. Went and actually stocked a different place where I hadn't been, and I must have been running them out towards somebody, because I could hear the pops going off about a half a mile away. So I must have been chasing them, and then.
Yeah, you know, I heard less shots this year than ever.
Yeah, there's a lot of people going to the crossbows, so.
There was a big one shot though. That one, did you see the one that got hit down on
Yeah.
77?
Yeah, by Florence? Yeah.
That guy that got the hit is gonna have make some money. 200 inches.
Yeah.
200.
Did you see that picture?
No, but I
Crazy.
seen a couple last
He
year, or the
grossed-
year before, that were
I
like.
think he grossed over two.
What?
Grossed over 200 pounds.
210, I heard.
They just start getting gnarly looking when they start working.
Some of them are kind of ugly, you know.
But that's
But
the
some of them
kind
are really
That's the
unique.
kind that Cabela's, Bass Pro,
Oh, yeah.
they all want them.
Yeah. Yeah, this got hit with roadkill, and a couple guys down there been hunting it pretty hard. Just one of that-
Yeah,
You hunt
that's
that hard
true.
and then find out it's smashed out.
I think if you call in a salvage tag right away, before
Okay.
anybody else gets it.
Have all the change orders signed, back in. What else do we have?
I've got a couple salary sheets there for you.
Okay, salary sheets. New deputy sheriff, I met him down at Peabody the other day with Travis. Ozzy Adney, starts at $17.84 an hour. And the other one's Perry Clausen for the road and bridge, new equipment operator 1, at $2,586 a month.
People out west are real tickled. The guys out west are probably got here real tickled to get him.
Is he local?
Yeah.
Go.
Start.
Got
Start.
one. Got one.
One brick at a time.
One brick at a time.
We need 10 more.
Does he have any background?
Evidently, because he's already out.
Jail.
Jail.
Oh, he'd been on the jail.
Another area, dependent on the jail.
Are you, I think you might be talking to.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Separate.
Road and bridge, I'm talking about.
We have two
We're talking about both of them.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
don't
they're
know.
both.
Yeah. They both need it.
Grateful for both.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, very true.
Andy was a lieutenant in the jail up north. He has some part knowledge.
Does that mean you now have another opening?
No, we do not. It was, no, our jail, it was up north.
Oh, you stole it from the Wilson. Good job.
That's the best kind.
Poaching. Good job.
Yeah. Some of that poaching.
Poach.
Yeah.
We'll put it out.
Okay.
That was legal.
That was legal.
Next thing I have are the early checks. Grand total is $52,334.09.
I'd make a motion to approve the early checks and $52,344.09.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I will.
Another one?
There's another one on there too.
52.
No, a total is 52. 30,000.
You got a grand total,
Grand total
52.
52.
Okay, yeah. All right, I heard 53 for some reason.
52,334.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
See, it's gonna hurt to check the ad machine there, see how it works.
I zoomed it in finally so I could see what it was.
Okay, on the table you have transport fuel bids.
And low bid goes to Epps. By not much. I'll make a motion to approve Epps at $20,449.80 over MFA at $20,529.80.
Second by, a motion by Jonas, second by Kent Becker to accept Epps service for fuel bids, transport fuel bid at $20,449.80. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, by vote.
I have a cereal malt beverage license for Last Chance Bake that needs approval.
Okay.
And then once it's approved, Commissioner Donkey, you'll sign over here.
Okay, I do have some discussion on this, not for this instance here, this has nothing to do with this, but the title of cereal malt beverages. Tina, if there's some, of course, this is the only one we have out in the county, but here in this last holiday with a new store down at Peabody, there was quite some discussion on whether they could sell or whether they couldn't sell with their type of license, and I don't know whether they had cereal malt beverage license for the city or what they had. But I'm just saying, there was quite some confusion on the holiday because one store was selling and one store was not selling because of the license or because of the deal. So, how do we have definitions on the holidays for these people that have this? Do you provide that certain holidays, or do you, that they cannot sell?
No.
Okay.
So the cereal, well,
The state does, yes, but, yeah, go ahead.
cereal malt beverage, I believe we probably have a resolution for the county as far as when sales are allowed, so I'd have to research that. I mean, I don't have it in front of me. There are requirements at the state level, and then I believe if there are any other restrictions, it's jurisdictional, so city.
It is
would-
jurisdictional,
I would
you think?
I believe so.
Okay.
But I would have to, I really don't have the answer to that question without researching it,
Just,
Randy.
and that's fine, I have no problem with that, but just to maybe do away with that situation in our county somewhere, if, when you're extra time, I'd sort of like to know where maybe we could figure that out and get some rules so that if Mr. Kraft is
There-
out there and wants to know, one of his officers wants to know, whatever the situation, you know,
There are rules, the vendors, you know, the agencies that dictate that, I mean, they should be aware of their rules, but, I guess
Would that be addressed in the resolution?
I just
Like
made a
possibly,
note to
yeah.
try to find all that information for you so
Yeah,
that you can
just-
look at it.
just,
Do you know anything different about that?
No, the state alcohol beverage control would have a lot of input into that. Once they get their license from the city or the county, whoever would need to be. And then the state holidays would be probably governed as state recognized holidays, not necessarily county or city holidays, unless it says so in your resolution. Typically, it would just be the state recognized holidays,
And then
state,
there's,
federal that would
and
be.
then there's some differences when they decide that, whether it's, you know, there's designated holidays that will not by the state, and then there's others you can buy on holidays, and so.
Correct.
That's what brought this, really the point of my conversation about, and that's why I'd like to get us right online so we know with this license that we provide. Yeah,
You know, in the last 2 years, they've changed all the open and closed rules. Our county rules probably, we haven't changed them for a long time.
well, that's.
So ours would it would only be if ours are more restrictive, because I think we can be more restrictive
The state has kind
potentially.
of opened up.
So,
some of
So
the
we need
states.
to get ours, like, to mirror the states.
Well, that would be a question for the commission.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean-
we may want to be more restricted.
Yeah, so,
I can, again, I can't really answer
No, that's fine,
specifically
Tina.
for you right now, but I can,
when I
we
seen
can
it on
find
there,
the information for you.
when I seen that, I said, I just want us to be sharp enough to know what we're governing here. So that somebody, especially if, I don't know what the case may be, the law officer may be into, but, they could at least find out what holidays, know that, so. Otherwise, we have a cereal malt beverage for Last Chance, doing Janice Davis, doing business as Last Chance Bake Shop, out by the 2193 Pawnee, Marion, Kansas.
Make a motion for the chairman to sign.
Second.
Have a motion by Jonah to make, for the chairman to sign, Dave Mueller second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So is
Aye.
that to approve
Or to approve.
the license and authorize the chairman to sign?
Yeah. Would you accept that amendment to?
Yes.
For the chairman to sign, okay.
And we can research and get that info for you, Randy.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's not no hurry, just for the next holiday coming up. Because
Couple days.
it was called to, in another chain stores, it was called all over, and different stores was doing different things in different places. And that's why it's sort of, okay, there's nothing said. Go ahead, Tina.
Okay, and that was all I had on administrative business, and then you had said at the end, you would do the planning commission appointments.
Okay, Jonah, what do you have?
So I got an application for planning and zoning for the lives within West Branch in District 5. It's Michael Wolk. We have talked to him, he's glad, he's looking to get into something that, where he can contribute back to the county. Said, you know, it's thankless sometimes, and he says, yeah, I just feel I need to serve somewhere, so.
How do you spell the last name?
W-O-E-L-K.
Okay.
Is that a motion?
I would like a motion to approve my nomination for Michael Newell.
I'll make a motion to approve Mike Wilkes.
And I'll second
nomination
Dave's
as
motion.
council. I don't.
And Dave Miller second. Kent made the motion. Kent or Dave second. All those in favor of Michael Walk on the Planning and Zoning Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Good guys.
Yeah. Thank you too, and thank him for, we need people, good people on the Planning and Zoning Commission because they make some decisions that affects us all.
I think it's a good pick. I know it.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. I've heard the name, but I don't know him personally. Ken, anything else? You said that was it?
That's all.
Okay, moving on to Rob, put you up on the podium there. Our bearded sheriff, first time I've seen that.
First time in 60-some years I haven't done it.
Okay, well, I was gonna say that's the first time I've seen it. I've
Never
done
did
it
it before.
since you come to this county, so.
Really don't have a lot. Like I said, I've got one in KLATC now, going to school. Graduating here in another couple of months. Probably the biggest thing I do want to do is make you aware, Sheriff's Office did receive a donation from the Bradbury Group of $1,750. They do a fundraiser over there, and this year we were recipient of $1,750 proceeds from that fundraiser. And I just want to publicly thank them for that and make you aware that we did get that. Those funds were put into the drug fund at the Sheriff's Office, and they will be used for mostly the school stuff that we do, working with the kids and providing materials and things for them. A lot of it will be there, other, will be used for other things too. We won't spend that much there, but that's the main purpose of that fund.
There wasn't no direct designation for the money?
No.
Okay.
No, just, there's a letter here with it, just as you see fit,
Yeah, good. Good deal.
I'll do that. and
People
check the
don't
letter,
know
but
which Bradbury Group has ties to Marion County through
Yes.
Marion Dye and
Mary
Fixture.
Diane Fixture.
It's
and,
part of the Bradbury Group.
And we have some employees here, and they did a couple of the sheriff's offices as well. But I do want to make you aware and say thank you to them.
Yes.
We went over and received that a month or so ago. Funding from them, and very much appreciated by us.
By everybody, because hopefully, maybe a few dollars of that goes to stop somebody from doing something they shouldn't do in the drug world.
Prevention's the name of the
Yes.
game.
Yes.
Prevention can help do that, and this funding will help that.
Yeah.
Very nice. About the only other thing is, touch on the railroad, we still get some complaints of railroad crossings. I've tried to make people aware that the law's changed, and we can no longer cite the train for blocking the crossings. Federal guidelines now say that that's interstate commerce, and we have no authority over it. If it's a local train and stays completely within Kansas, I have authority, but we don't have any trains that do so. So it's all interstate and intrastate. So local law enforcement has no authority to do anything. As we did in the past, we could cite the train and engineer and send it to the company. They'd pay us a small fine and wouldn't care. But now we can't do that either.
Sounds like another overreach of federal government to me.
Strong lobbyists.
Yeah, they probably, railroad has a bigger lobby than
Yeah.
most of us.
Yeah.
So, it's just the way it is, and like there's a website you can go to as an individual to complain, to give the time and date and all of that about a crossing being blocked. That's about the extent of what can be done now.
The situation was last week, I forget which day, but I had several calls. The train was blocking Ramona from late afternoon until mid-morning the next day.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get in.
Same train?
Same train, because they got the serial number off the cars. So I talked to Brad Jantz, and it actually worked out a half hour after I talked to him, the train's moved.
Figured.
Yeah. But anyway, he was gonna talk to his contact, but as Sheriff Kraft said, there's just nothing.
Canvas courts and.
Might be a good message to send to Moran and Marshall, but
That we keep squeaking.
Yeah.
That's all we can do. Like I say, just that website and go on there. If enough people go on there on a regular basis
Right.
and blow that thing up every time the track gets closed. Especially if you have a problem area like up north.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been a problem forever. And up there.
And it will be worse.
Do you have that link that you could send over?
Yes, ma'am.
And I could maybe try to help get that out a little bit.
Do that.
That's great.
Get you a copy of that.
Dave, while that train that you're talking about, did the crossing that we rocked the road to get them around, was that cross blocked too?
Actually, 2 miles were blocked because the train's now almost 3 miles long.
Oh, jeez.
They're long.
I'm just
But
wondering.
They
you know,
left open the east way into Ramona, so if you knew where to go, you could.
The east way?
But
You local.
the main intersection was blocked, Pawnee was blocked, the next road was blocked. They're 3 mile long trains.
I wonder if we're not gonna end up with that issue out on Diamond. At one time, they said we had correspondence that there was gonna be cross arms put on Diamond. But they built that new siding at Waldeck, and I'm just wondering if the trains keep getting longer and longer, if that's not gonna end up being blocked too.
I would imagine so.
And if it does, you're gonna have about a 6, how far would you have to jog around to get that, 7 or 8 miles?
Well, Goldenrod has an underpass, but that's not an all-weather
I
road.
say that's only
Yeah,
on certain
right.
days.
Yeah. And you gotta make sure the feed truck's weighted down,
But,
because if you don't, it'll take the tops off.
this was back at the time they were doing that, Waldeck, and there's no cross arms there yet.
Yeah, they, the trains used to be, a mile and a half, then they were 2, and now they're approaching 3, and they got engine in the middle, pushers and pullers, and middle engine, and they've just expanded rail traffic, but it's, but I'll make sure you have, Tina has that link, put it on our website, and it's frustrating, I have no teeth in that fight,
Rob, what's going on around the county? Vandalism.
We go on, I'll make sure you're aware we lost the storage building, or are losing the storage building in Hillsborough.
Yeah.
I think Randy made you aware, I just wanted to put that out there that we are.
What are you gonna do with your stuff?
Some of it out back, the red trailer.
That's what Randy's here for today.
Doing it, but they, what we have to do something with it.
Trying to find a.
Not have anything suitable yet that would house anything. I don't know what your plan is. If you thought about building something somewhere. I thought about talking with Bryce Road Bridge. A couple things I'd like to keep under cover. Some of it could be outside.
I did talk, I mean, this kind of goes into the Randy section of the agenda, but it goes for you too. 'cause-
Well, I mean, he's sitting in the hallway, so do you want to include everyone?
Yeah, just bring Randy in.
Yeah, Randy? We didn't have a chair, we're talking about storage of buildings and stuff like that, equipment things, so.
This year? I did meet with the fair board last night, and they just basically said that whatever that we could fit in there in the one building, and all they're looking for is help with improvements. Really, they talked about that north door, if we'd be willing to put a bigger door on, that would exempt us from having to pay them any kind of rent. Because it's an
thing
improvement.
The only caveat I want to put on that building is that we don't want to get in a situation where we get called on a Thursday and say,
Right.
we need that building Saturday, and now let us scramble to get everything out of there or park somewhere else. I understand on occasion that might happen, but on a regular basis, and I don't know how much that building gets used, I don't think a lot.
At
on that one.
auctions, I did ask that, there are some auctions that 3 to 4 times a year. But as long as, if we didn't use all the space, they could wall us off, I guess, but,
I'm willing to move it on occasion, but I just don't wanna get that call.
And then the fair.
At noon Friday, and say Saturday morning, we gotta have that,
Like a week's notice.
yes, give me enough time to plan to get it out of there, for as long as we don't have to do it on a monthly basis, it takes a lot of time to move all that.
I asked for as much as we could get for, to know, I mean, like, because there's a lot of time that they don't have any revenue on that building at all, so if we can help them, whether improvements or some sort of revenue to them.
And normally they use the other building for a lot of options.
Yeah, in fact, the Foods building is where the meeting was last night, and then the next building over is where they have the obstacle courses and community center type stuff.
It's not ideal, but it's somewhere.
Yeah.
And Randy reminded me, I forgot that we did store the white trailer up there at the road and bridge.
Early on, when we first got that, 12 years ago or whatever it was, we put it up here at Pilsen.
White trailer.
Oh, at Pilsen.
At Pilsen when we first got it.
Okay.
The problem is it's
Well, the antenna trailer.
it's unobserved, and they eventually needed that building back or something. Then we did move it down to Cobble underneath that. And I'd like to talk with Bryce and see if we can get at least one day on that south end to put that under. That's the primary concern. It doesn't have to be inside. I mean, it's supposed to be, weather conditions like everything else. If you can keep it covered here.
It lasts longer.
Yes, and with that big 40K generator, I'd like to keep it under cover. And if you need it in the middle of winter, it's a little more readily startable, starts.
Well, I did look at the fair. They were talking about other places that covered that, and we'd have to do something in order to be able to utilize that building. But the pavilion, it gets used for the fair and for auctions.
And if there was a building that had, like up on Cole, that would, it's not ideal, but it would be far better than nothing, even if it's open on, the one end of it there. It keeps the weather off and makes a world of difference on that. So it wouldn't have to be a huge,
Where's the primary tower at? Here?
Our primary tower is out south of,
It's Albany.
Between all of that large tower that stayed on.
Okay, so somewhere in Marion wouldn't defeat the purpose. I was, for some reason I had built in my head that the primary was somewhere over here, and we needed to get the secondary away from here.
No, our primary tower is,
Okay.
we go direct from here to there. So if we lose, that tower, we pretty much lose everything in the county. A tornado comes in and wipes it out, but that's just the way the state grid is. That's the way, our old one was too. At some point, if you lost a certain tower, you lost everything. There's no way around that, other than the tower trailer, which is 106 feet capability, and can interoperate with all of our radios that we operate on and other counties as well. And that's what it's for. It's kind of a redundant backup. Like insurance, I hope to never need it, but when I do, I want to have it for that rare occasion.
And that's what I was getting at. I was trying to make sure that the redundancy was redundant, because the tornado takes it out.
Yes.
Location A is B too close.
Yes, and I want to keep it, handy, and it's one of those things. We're fortunate that we have one in Reno County, and the other one in the South Central region in Kansas. So if something happens down in Butler County and they request ours, we, under the guidelines of the South Central region, are obliged to, share that with them, and that's the intended purpose. Fortunately, we haven't had to use it much in that capacity, 2 or 3 times over the last, 10, 12 years, 10 years, I guess.
But if we were in Kentucky right now.
Yes, they're scrambling to find things like that, and it's such a mess. And if that happens here, we would be in the same boat. The state has, they call them cows, which are the same basic principle, about the same height and provide the same But if there's more than one area looking for communications, you may bid for it and it may end up in some other county and you're on the fringe and barely getting communication. So we kind of like one close, like I say, for insurance.
Right.
Afraid we don't need it.
I never meant to insinuate getting out of the county. I just meant keeping it away from where our primary is.
And the other part of it does come with that dually, which we use it to move the other trailers around and everything. Yeah, the dually doesn't get a lot of use, but it,
When it's needed, it's needed.
yes.
Good. Any other questions for Rob? My question, Rob, was how much vandalism we got going on in the county?
Per se vandalism?
Well, theft.
Yeah, we got more theft than per se vandalism.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's out there. People are working, and we've got one case that we're filing paperwork on today. Where some thefts, pickup stolen, recovered this weekend. Yeah, we're working on it. We know players, we believe, from several of these, but it is occurring, and we're not unique in this aspect. The world, as we know it in this part of the country, has experienced a lot of the same. Other counties, and some of ours are living in other counties coming up, and they're branching out, and vice versa. Yes, it is happening.
I'm leading on to, my main question was that, but the next question is after you catch them, what are you, for somebody to steal a truck from you, steal a car, steal a tractor, whatever it may be, what is our court system doing to help us? I mean, is there, in my opinion, I'll just make the statement that we got to, somewhere that's got to stop. I mean, we can't slap their hands no more. We can't, and I don't know whether the court system needs some backup, needs money to keep the people in jail that do this, or they're released on bond pretty quick, like most of the time, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You actually put some of these guys at risk that are committing these, because people lose faith in the judicial system. They'll just start doing what they shouldn't do.
Yeah, there again, all of that is out of our control.
Yeah.
Our control is to catch, turn over the proper documents and persons that we need to get prosecution. The county attorney seeks prosecution, and at that point, we're at the mercy of the court. Yeah. Law enforcement always feels like we're shorted from the court because we would like more sentences on some of these, and I don't want to necessarily blame the court for everything, but I would like to see more deterrent. Without the deterrent, there's no consequences.
I'm just relating this from, we've just seen where all over the United States, where parolees get out and then they take a life from somebody's family or do something like that. Happened in Wichita here just not too long ago, within a matter of weeks.
In my opinion, it seems that we get a little bit too concerned with the perpetrator than the victim. I would like to see more concern for the victim than seeing that everything is gone to the perpetrator to help them. Yeah, we get frustrated.
I understand. Been there, done that. Got mad at the city attorney, got mad that was fighting when I was a law officer to, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Well, this was a better way.
And we can't as law enforcement do anything
But do what you're supposed to do.
but we do our end.
Yeah.
And be proud of what we do and know that we do it well. And then we get to do it all again.
Yeah, get to do it again, yeah.
Yeah, we get to see the records, so we know you're doing your job.
You know, do we make, you know, sure we make a mistake and move the case down, and I'm not gonna say we don't, or law enforcement doesn't in general, but we try not to, and we try to present a very good case to the court so that we have all our ducks in a row, and I believe we do, for the most part, and, but the state sentencing guidelines, you know, that came out of Topeka several years ago, and a lot of the local courts are bound to those guidelines, which seem kind of soft.
Yeah.
But that comes out of the state legislature in Topeka, and the courts are
Yep.
obliged to abide by them as well, so.
In your opinion, are the judges in Kansas setting bail too low? I mean, we see countrywide with these no bail cities and you know, it just seems like they're all out within 10 minutes. If they've got a, you know, a serious felony and get $1,000 bail.
We've seen some, and I, you know, I'm hesitant to say that per se. It, you know, I understand bail and I understand the process and why it's there. This person hasn't been convicted, they've just been charged and arrested for a particular crime. However, we have a duty to protect the public from, you know, certain individuals that are committing some of these crimes. If we didn't have bail, we would have to have a twice as big jail, or more than we do. So I understand it has a purpose, and a lot of folks can get out on bail and still be productive citizens, and some can't, however. But it seems like the ones that can't, seem like we repeatedly, you know, they've got the bail bonds on speed dial. I mean,
Oh, it's, yeah, they're quick, because every time we bring one up from Peabody to get here, the bail bonds are sitting here waiting on them. They just walk inside, walk back out. So I've seen that, and it's just crazy sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes
I don't want to put you
to
on the spot, Rob, but it's just.
I'd like to see a larger bail on some, and sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't, you know, just, and I don't know, I don't question it's from the court, and we abide by their, you know, decision and ruling. It just, I think a lot of it is, you know, the guideline doesn't speak of the biggest issue is, you know, they're mandated. I don't know how many times a felon has to be a felon before he actually goes to prison.
Yeah.
A lot.
A lot.
I know that.
A lot.
Yeah.
Well, we've had some good judges up here that has, well, done some things.
Yeah, and I'm not, you know, our local, I'm not, you know, complaining about them, we've had great judges, and still do. In some of their decisions, they know why they do things, I don't necessarily know everything that they know, or have all that information, and that's their job, mine is to get them there.
Any final questions for Rob? Rob, thank you for coming over.
Thank you, Rob.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you. Okay.
Randy's gonna bring us some good news.
Yeah, he figured out all the problems.
No?
Okay.
Randy, would you?
I'm going to, I'm good.
Yeah, thank you.
I just don't move that fast. Like Rob, we've got challenges. Yeah, we visited with them, and there was another place where someone was going to check on the blue building.
Yeah, the city has a contract offer from the wind farm people.
That's what I heard
And
last
they're
week.
the city's gonna deal with it today, either
I didn't
accept it.
know
or-
if you had more influence than they did. So that option's gone.
I didn't have any cash that day.
Yeah, I know, they've got a checkbook with them. Okay, well, I figured that's what was gonna happen with that, and that's the way it goes.
I mean, it's the good news now, we know the wind farm's coming.
But we definitely know, I met with them last week.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And we talked, they were down at the hotel here, and we talked about a lot of different safety issues and things like that. So that's out of the option. It appears that the fairgrounds is looking to.
They're willing to work with us.
To barter and somehow to make whatever it is. The north door.
The north door's too small for anything.
Well, not only is it too small, it goes downhill, so if you're pulling a power unit and a trailer, you crinkle up like this as you're going down, and the trailer is possibly going to
Drag
drag
the
something
top,
down
yeah.
again. So it comes down
Dip
hill.
back there somewhere in the
Yeah.
cement is.
Yeah, so that's something to keep in mind, but whatever you guys decide to do, is the back door doesn't have that problem.
Yeah, but it only fits everything but your,
The
but the
antenna-
big trailer.
But
so.
the antenna trailer, and that's.
And then the only thing that fits that is the pavilion where we would have to do something again. How do you pull in and out?
Right. So Rob says he's gonna talk to Bryce. I sent Bryce a message. I guess he's not in. He's got some family issues to take care of, so.
Okay. So you have nothing otherwise, other than what we've already discussed?
Other than what we discussed, but just also let you know that, besides vehicles, we have more things in that building. We have
Oh.
eight shelves in there with a lot of supplies on them. And I have one shelf that has, it's completely full of assessor records that are on there too, so we'll have to get those moved as well. Moving them's not the problem, it's just
And I
where
did-
we're gonna move them to.
I did tell,
And I visited with her too.
I told the fair board that there was the shelving too, and not just the trailers.
Yeah, and I still have 2 pallets of water to move from Peabody back up here. I was just waiting to find out where I'm moving, so I have to move it twice. So, left over from when the water tower had an issue. So we had that water moved in and they used what they needed, so we'll store the rest of it. So,
Is
anyhow.
that is that pallets, Randy? You have pallets?
Yeah, there's two pallets still
Two
down there.
pallets.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll move them up and we'll put them on the shelves and we'll line onto them, so. I don't know.
that in that building.
I don't know how warm that building stays, so.
That's,
Yeah, it doesn't.
for water, that's what I was just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's any source other than kicking on the lights. I mean, that'd be the only type of heat source possible in there.
So that's something I have to think about too, is
Okay.
where to put that.
How much heat you need it
None really.
in? So it's
I mean, but the pallets, I suppose.
Water deal, but that's just 2 pallets of water. Surely there's someplace we can.
Someplace else to
Well,
put that.
I have about another pallet worth of water already in the storage shed too, that we currently have. Plus we have cleanup kits, they're buckets that are full of brooms and things like that from the Red Cross for flooding. And so to help clean up with floods, we have that, we have some hazardous material stuff over there. We have sandbags in that building that we store, so we have quick access to them.
Empty sandbags, right?
Empty sandbags, yes.
There you go.
Yes, empty sandbags. Yes, they come in bales. Bales, I believe it's 1,000 bags per bale. So we have those in there as well, so. And those are okay to store at the fairgrounds. I mean, it's a cool, dry place, so it's not a problem. We just store them, so it's sometimes it's a challenge to get to the pour, to get to the sandbags, and we need them in a hurry. So we store some on our own.
I'd like to pursue the fair deal, fair building, but with a smart approach. Somehow seeing, just take each trailer, go see what we can do with it from the one door on the one side before we do anything on the north side. And see what's available, how we can do it, what'll work and what won't work. And then we need to do it pretty soon. And sort of get a feeling from, have a fair board member there, if there's one possible.
Yeah, I can get one there.
And the longest one we have is the one we've already put in there.
The white.
The command trailer.
Yeah.
That's the longest one that we were able to get it in there.
And it was still, it didn't feel that big when it was in there, so.
Right.
I didn't know.
Feeling is one thing, I guess. Every farmer out there will tell you, oh, this is a big building until they pull a piece of equipment in there.
How many of the racks are you actually using? Because last time I was inside that building,
I have 1, 2, 4 of them I'm using right now.
4 racks.
And I have
4 8-footers.
Well, yes, I believe they are 8 foot. Well, actually, I'm using 3, assessor's using 1.
Okay.
I did tell the fair board that, our intention is for it to be a temporary
Yes.
Not, we wanted to occupy it forever, so. I maybe right or wrong, that's
Right.
what I said.
I don't know, that's my opinion.
They asked me 2
Speak up.
years or 5 years. I said temporary.
If any other commissioner has any other ideas, speak up, because that's where we need to start getting the cart hooked to the horse and doing something.
Yep, follow up on the Fair Board building, I need, and then on the tower with Bryce, try to, I mean, we're gonna have to separate them out.
Yes.
Just gonna have to. But, I think you've got a good plan going.
Okay.
They're more,
Move forward.
they want to work with us. They acknowledge that they're part of the county, so.
Is there a way to do any security, like secure the records that are being stored in our current location? I mean, or is it just gonna be all in a big open room and then people at certain times will be in and out of there? I just don't know if the appraiser's records should be, I mean, there may need to be a separate consideration for that, instead of just having that big open. I mean,
Just we need to give back the records. huh?
Give back to,
Yeah.
There's one rack of appraisers records.
yes, you know, one entire, actually, they kind of pretty much want a little extra.
Like a truckload or what?
Oh, you can put it in the truck. You can stack it in the truck and tie it down.
like maybe
No.
50 boxes.
Probably close to that.
All out of the
I mean, how
appraisers.
old are they? Do they?
They're,
I don't know.
they have, I talked to Nikki this morning, that's why I know. Okay, but they have 5, what the documents they're storing are 5-year record retention. And so they keep 3 years here, and the ones that are in storage, off-site storage, are the last 2 years.
4 and 5 years.
The 4th and 5th year are restored off-site. So, but I don't know that those records just need to be accessible to whoever's over there.
Okay.
So it just needs to be.
Right now, they
within
are
consideration.
kinda anyway.
But they kind of are, the trucking company is in the same building we're in now.
Well, co-op guys are in and out of there too.
Co-ops in and out of there too, they use
So
their own
maybe, I
building.
mean, I don't know if it's a concern or not, but I just wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Must not have been a concern when we put them there.
That was done before I got here, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Appraiser can surely find out if they need to be.
Well, and she said that they do have information on there that is not public. Some sales information and such.
So appraiser's office thinking about scanning them and saving them that way. You gotta save the original paperwork.
Could they be digitized? Is that?
I also asked that.
That's
We don't know.
another expense.
I mean,
Well,
there's gonna have to be something put in place
It's
to be able
cheaper
to
to
do
build
it.
the building.
Maybe we could ask the appraiser's office to do a little study and to see if there's a place we can find to put them.
You can move to the salt mines.
Well, or if
That's
it's only
really
5
offsite.
boxes,
Huh?
That's really offside.
what's a storage unit cost?
Right.
I mean, $30 a month, $50 a month?
I mean, just one of these self-storage?
Yeah,
Or those $60 or $70.
Depends on.
Okay.
yeah, probably, or more.
I think they're a little cheaper with the walk-in door ones, the ones that aren't.
Have a garage door.
Not a garage door, but a walk-in.
Yeah, but you're gonna need a garage door. I mean,
Right. And we're
Okay.
trying to get away from rent.
Yeah,
Period.
that's the goal.
But
you
in
gotta
the
get a short
meantime,
term.
they have to be stored somewhere.
Okay, Randy, tell me how many days you have to
January.
spend between now and the end of the year
40 days.
to
In
spend,
January.
just to drag a trailer over there and get somebody with you or something to set this, just to see what it would do in that building?
Set up a day and do it. It's-
Gotta try it, see where it's.
It'll all fit in there, I can tell you that.
Oh.
It's a much bigger building than we're in now. It's a much bigger building than we're at least twice
You're
the
gonna
size.
have to play around a little bit, though.
Jockeying around.
Yeah, how you can,
No, we do that already.
yeah, figure out how maybe they won't ask you to move.
We have one big one, we're not moving anyhow, so it's a good thing.
Okay.
But if,
It's gonna get cold here for long, that's what I'm saying.
right,
I wouldn't want to do it before it gets snowy too.
Especially.
If it really snows this year.
In a dry day.
It's a dry winter right now.
Is there anything you think you need for help besides that? I mean, once you do that, if we get the keys, get Jonah to get the keys to it and give you a set of keys and just go over and move them, set them there, and then let us know so we go look, our commissioner go look at it, or any commissioner wants to.
We can do that, we can get moved in.
Without the shells first, leave them blank.
Yeah.
Just trailer wise and generators
Yeah.
and what you have there.
We can do that, we can go over there and put them in place and last week was, I think, I may have been wrong, but I think we talked about changing the locks on the doors too, if we moved into that. Because I know that the 1 year that I was down there,
Yeah.
it was the beginning of COVID, I got handed 3 keys to the same building. So, who knows who else has a key, that's my point. If we're trying to eliminate traffic through there.
Probably 20 people.
I don't know.
I mean, over the years, just give a couple on each year.
Great. So, it was a thought that was brought up, and no one said to do it, but it was a thought that was brought up.
We would need to change the law and then provide them with 1 key to in another building hanging or something that they could get to that key to get in there that way. They don't have multiple keys being made.
Everybody agreeable, commission? Is that the way you want to go? Okay.
I'd say you probably need some sort of a agreement drafted
Yeah.
to make it formal.
Either.
Does the fair board have a lawyer or not?
Brad's
Draft one.
I just, you know, if we need to go with Brad or just something.
I don't think it needs to
If
be,
you just at least come up with the points of what you want in it.
it need to be a 20-page document.
No.
Okay.
But in there, you could then also lay out how much time would be required to, if they needed the space and we have to move, you could lay that out in your agreement. So
Would
it's
7
how many
days be enough? 7 days advance
7 days
notice?
prior notice.
Prior notice or?
No, I don't, yeah, that's fine.
I know, as long as.
What
Just
does
know-
that do, Randy? 7 days notice, if the equipment's stored there and you get a 7-day notice that equipment's gotta be out by 7 days later, what does that do to your schedule?
Obviously, we changed everything, but we could get it moved, we just have to find a place to put it once we move it.
Maybe right back over here behind,
It might be.
it might be, I'm not gonna say it's not gonna be, so.
It might be.
Okay.
Well, it would be a different time frame for a temporary relocation versus,
Yes.
hey, we just want our building back and
Right,
we're done.
right.
That would be a different
Yeah.
time frame.
Who do I need to call when I get the equipment in the trailer, in the building?
Just give me a call.
Give you a phone.
Yep. And so we know it's there, and then I can notify the 5 commissioners if they wanna take a look at it.
I know, just knowing the people on the fair board, if we make it decent enough for them that they could maybe use part of it,
Yeah. That's,
then that we
This
probably
won't
wouldn't
take
have to
long.
move out.
Yeah, this won't take
So,
long.
like I said, the auctions that they had were basically in the chance that there was an event of rain. Otherwise, they're outside, you know. So, or they're bringing the stuff in, locking it up, and then putting it back out to have the auction. So,
what is that white trailer, 40 foot?
Pretty close to that.
I just
It's
think.
pretty close to that.
I just think we'll take the back 40 foot all the way, that being the longest one, and then the red one beside it, and the rest of it's pretty, a little shorter.
generator,
Right,
light
yeah,
tower,
The light tower and then the 40K generator is the other two.
no
And the dually truck.
That dually truck, yes.
And the dually truck.
So those 3 things are the biggest thing.
We
The rest of
we can
it-
park them on the south half, that's easy. On the south half of it. That building is a good size.
probably need to put them all the way to the north.
That's what,
I
that's what I
want
was.
that be between the fair board.
Well,
Well, if you put it all the way to the north, then you have a challenge of getting them out. Because that north door is not the best one to use.
Right, well, I mean, you just drive to the south. You just have to make sure there was an alley that you can take stuff out to the south.
Well, when you get ready to do it, give me a call, Randy.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Okay.
So, let's do that to start with and see what's going on. I'll give a directive, I'll give Brad notice of either call me or call Jonah and make some sort of agreement with the Fair Board draft, please.
I'll give Jim up where it's called and let him know that we're gonna start situating things and that'd be a good idea. And then he takes care of the rest.
We'll get some keys.
Who we got, yeah, who we got for change locks? Do you have anybody in mind that we can use or?
For a locksmith? No.
There's some members.
We're
Really
45 days
probably
away from
use-
that.
Yeah, well, I don't wanna put the cart in front of the horse and then we wind up buying new doors, cause, oh, well, can't change those locks.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming that those doors are old. Yeah, they're not new.
It's,
Well,
it's, and maybe you guys haven't talked about it yet, the long-term goal. Because it's temporary, we know that, whatever temporary is, right?
Yeah, there's,
long-term goal, Randy, is to get a building right over here.
Okay, in that spot that's been set down,
Do what?
in that spot back here where the ground's been pushed down?
Yes, yes. We just passed some old drawings out last week that was from 2013 when we was pretty hot and heavy on it, and we passed the money around, the money went other places, and it went from good sources, but now I think we're trying to get back on track here and see if we can get something done for the county and get it done this time, so.
That space would be plenty for, that's
Okay.
definitely big enough.
Okay. All righty. Thank you. Get on with the discussion for trash service.
sorry to keep you waiting, guys.
And who do we have here today?
I'm Marvin Isley,
Okay.
Merrill Yoder, Jordan Isley, and
Calvin Weeby and Jaron Weeby.
And all Nisley trash service?
No.
No.
Us three are nicely, and these guys in the middle.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We're enemies.
Not quite.
Well, I personally, Kent Becker was the one that brought this up and has been getting into it, so he knows exactly, or knows more than I know. I'm gonna turn my part over to Kent, let Kent take over here to,
Maybe we can get a little pickup over there.
Well, in light of, waste management, giving everyone 14 days notice that they were cutting them off, and all, including those that they'd already cut off last year, I thought it was probably important for the commission to act as a conduit to try to see if we can rectify some of what's going on and get some service back into the west part and some of the south part of the county that is losing service, and with the full knowledge that over the course of the next year there's going to be at least 3 communities that will be losing service.
those small communities they've not received any notice.
No, but they were all, I was told by the manager, they're all on 1-year extensions, but I don't know the exact cutoff dates. So I did reach out to Nisley since they appeared to be the closest that we had. And also at that time, Calvin Weeby reached out to me that, his son and him had been researching starting a service. And so I thought it'd be wise if they could come in and just talk to us and kind of see maybe what the options are, just to, try to, like I said, kind of act as an intermediary for those that have lost service. So, I don't know, whoever wants to speak to us first, I guess I had reached out to Nisley's before Calvin called me, so if that's okay, we'll let Mr. Yoder or whoever's speaking. Go ahead.
You said okay to come up over here?
Just for our online.
Sure.
People.
Well, Kent did reach out to Merrill, and we have a list that was forwarded to you
Right.
from Waste Connections, and, but that list doesn't quite line up with what, cause I did some looking, and we've got lots of calls, mostly in the Gossel area, almost none of which showed up on any of those,
Yeah,
that
I think
list.
that's why we were wondering if they sent us last year's list, maybe.
Okay,
Because I noticed a lot of those were out more in the west and the north. So I wonder if that wasn't their list from
No,
last.
I don't think there's any addresses on that list that were dropped last
Yeah,
year.
so I don't know exactly what they sent me.
okay. Well, at the very least, it is incomplete.
Right.
Because we've, most of the people that we've had contact with are in the Gossel area, within 4 or 5 miles of Meridian, from a mile or two north of the South Marion County line, north up almost to Highway 56. So that's where most of the people have called us. Now, in addition,
Somewhere about like this.
yep, yep,
My district.
Okay.
My
Okay.
entire district.
Okay. I noticed that somewhere, my father's name is was Menno.
Yeah.
He passed away a few years ago.
That's Menno Township.
Yeah, that's
too,
Menno
right up there.
Township, yeah. Yeah. So I also, up around the reservoir, from Nighthawk over a few miles and then north, maybe as far north as 100 and, I've forgotten, maybe 5 miles north.
Reservoir.
I know they canceled whoever in East Shore, whoever got picked up there.
Nighthawk.
So, well, but it's on the west side of the lake there. Maybe down in, is that Risley?
Risley.
Risley?
Grizzly, yeah.
That's on north side of Hillsborough.
So somewhere in there, we had several
Yeah.
calls that came in, but
So you're getting
for the
more.
most of the calls that we've had came from the Gossel area in that 5 miles.
That's just wild.
The
That's-
calls that you
that's
received,
so
was they already
populated.
have their notice too?
It's so populated
Yes.
They
there.
didn't have their notice.
And so, while we have an interest in providing the service, we're down in Newton, in Harvey County, right? Obviously, we're not in McPherson County. As you probably are aware, McPherson has a
Right.
solid waste utility, and nobody except McPherson area solid waste utility is allowed to provide service there. But we are in the little notch here in Harvey County. And so it's a natural for us to move into that area. I would say this, that one of the things that we do a lot of work in rural Kansas. We've found that it is very difficult, unless you have an anchor, to provide weekly service for rural residents like we're talking here. And so it's no surprise for me to hear that Waste Connections can't make it work with weekly service, because we do mostly once a month service with a commercial container, dump it once a month. The initial cost is much higher, but the cost for providing the service is much lower, because we only drive those roads 1/4 as frequently as we do when we do weekly service. So that is the model that we're looking at, and we think that, given the estimates that we have at this point, and admittedly we're trying to put dots on a map and understand where it is that Waste Connections is drawing, is dumping, and why. You said there's more people in that part of the county than in some of the others.
Well,
Does that mean?
That and half of this is 1/5 of the population.
Well, we drove up Indigo into Marion today, and I see blue carts along Indigo, and we didn't get one call from anybody that far east in the county. So I'm a little bit at a loss to say, well, yeah, we could, if we take 5 mile corridor along Highway 15, we can do that and provide service for the people in that area. What I don't know is, what about those guys on Indigo? And the farther north I go, if I start to go up north of Highway 56, to get to Marion, city of Marion, is about 70 miles for me. That's not the farthest that we go, but because we do some work in Medicine Lodge and in South Barber County, which is adjoins the Oklahoma line. It's 85 miles down there from our yard in Partridge. We also go to Greensburg and into Harvey County, and so we're not foreigners to driving a long ways. But the farther I get from home base, the less I am inclined to be really excited about that. I also know that last year when there was some talk, when these guys, people in the north and west, Logan Moore, somewhere in there, when they got dropped, we looked at it and said, well, there's a guy over in Lost Springs or somewhere in that area, small hauler, and I really don't have much interest in competing with a local guy. And like these guys, if they have some interest in working around the Durham area, I think we could probably work out a deal together where we take one part and maybe they work in a different area. I don't know if we talked over hamburgers at lunch, and I don't know if we did a very good job in talking them out of the trash business.
Gave them all the fine points, huh?
But my point is, the area where people have called us in that Gossel Highway 15 corridor, we have some interest in providing service there. What did you say? What's the population in that corner?
So if you take West Branch and Menno, and you add it to half of Hillsborough, that's 1/5 of the population.
Half of the city of Hillsborough.
Yeah, but the city of Hillsborough has their own trash service.
Yeah, I understand.
And I don't know how it equates to townships.
So there's 2,500 people in those 2 townships.
No,
Am I right that the farther east we go, the density goes down even farther? Yeah. And what about, I get the feeling, I didn't even drive any of that in the north tiers.
Very thin.
It goes
Very
down.
thin. I don't have to tell you guys, the fewer people there are, the less profitable it is.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. So I'm closer to Gossel, and there's more people there. So I'm happy to provide service in that area. I would not say that in the future we might not expand that, but if most of the people are in that corridor anyway that are getting dumped, why wouldn't I start there? And so that's, what questions do you have?
Well, I think I would want to welcome anybody that wants to help the public out, and if that's where you're getting the calls from, why?
And that's that many less that we have to try to find a solution for.
Yeah. It's a win-win for
Yeah.
us, but I will say Waste Connections is in Peabody, and does Peabody, and there's a lot out around Peabody that's got the blue carts out, like you said, on Indigo and then clear over to Nighthawk and.
A lot of them are disappearing today.
Okay.
They said leave the card out, and they're all gonna be gone today.
Yeah. So we may,
Caleb is on Monday.
there may be, maybe some more calls coming. And that just, you know how it is, you get a notice, oh, I didn't realize it was that soon.
The camper towns that are being dropped are on the north side, right?
They
Didn't say
will
anything
all
about
be
Gossel.
on the north.
To say anything about Gossel.
So what's that, Durham,
I talked to,
Tampa?
Never mentioned Gossel.
I talked to Jennifer at the city.
Okay.
At the city of Gossel on Friday, and she said she had gotten confirmation from Waste Connections that
They have a
that
10-year,
they
I
have
think.
7 years left or something on their
Oh.
agreement, and that they're good for 7 years.
Okay.
Now, things can change too, but that's what she had, and
You could buy that out cheaply, maybe, contract.
interestingly enough, we got a call from Jennifer, not because she got a notice, but because people were calling her saying,
What do I do?
what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
And so that was, and I suppose that's logical.
Sort of, it is, and of course, this one case that I know of personally, just, he retired, and so he built him a little trash trailer, he lives east of Peabody, and he never did go ahead and, he didn't stay with the trash service. He takes, since he's retired, he likes that for a monthly trip, that he takes his little trailer, comes up to the landfill and dumps it up here, I mean, to the transfer station and dumps it, so. That was one case, I don't know that everybody can do that, in working world, they, you know, they.
Maybe factor in your time.
Yeah, you can't
You
do
factor
that.
in
The
your time,
issue
your
we have
mileage.
is that a majority of the people are getting canceled are 20 miles from the transfer station,
Mhm.
minimum.
Yeah.
And that might be part of the play too, why you're seeing some not get canceled and others, because how close they are to the transfer station.
Or I mentioned an anchor, and that's why it doesn't make any sense that you would keep an anchor like Gossel and throw away all the other
Around the
the
edge.
rural stuff. And why, well, don't ask Merrill to get started talking about how little logic plays into our friends over in the blue trucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Loss and gain, I hear, right? Loss and gain, their loss
Well,
or gain.
I guess so, but sometimes we can't figure out how they price stuff and why, when, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah. That's usually best.
You know, I think Marion County Commission is willing to work with anybody to, just so we know how what's happening, that our customers are getting some sort of service. That's our goal, but we sure can't provide a service here, the way we're set up as a commission or anything.
Well, am I correct that Marion County doesn't license garbage hauling companies? Okay?
Hold on, we got,
I think it's something.
there was a license question in
Okay.
garbage haulers,
Okay.
and you were best suited to answer it.
So the state does not do permitting for hauling solid waste. However, they do require that you follow the Kansas administrative regulations. It's about a one-page, pretty straightforward document. In the county, if it's within an incorporated city, you would be held to any regulations that they may have within the city. If it's an unincorporated portion of the county, so if you were parking trash trucks or operating a commercial business out of a parcel that's an unincorporated portion of the county, it would require a conditional use permit.
But as far as just providing the service, there's no permitting, right?
That's correct.
From a business that's located in another county.
That's correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure
Okay.
she would know, so.
Okay. That's when we have pros.
So, I mean, we haven't heard from Calvin yet, but it appears like there might be room for both of you to be doing something.
I certainly think so.
I mean, I guess we'll listen, we'll have to listen to Calvin and see what he thinks. But,
It's a capitalist society, so.
yeah. I mean, I would like to see the northern part of the county at least have an option going down the road, because all of a sudden it's gonna be slamming one town, slam shut another town over the course of this year. I don't know if they all go a full year or not, but, plus all the outlying residents that are around there. The interesting thing that I found out this morning is that Waste Connections are still gonna come out. If you've contracted with them, with the big cart, you know, that just hooks on the, they did not cancel those folks.
They kept the big carts.
Right.
So they're gonna go right by our houses every week.
But they won't let them combine and
Yeah.
buy a big dumpster.
Did
So-
I mention that it doesn't always make sense to me?
Well, the more information I've found, it just kind of blows my mind. Because that was not the reason that they gave me. They said they did not have enough drivers, they did not have enough parts availability, and they had one other reason, and I'm not gonna say it on the air. On an open meeting.
Right.
Did you ever notice that when you can't make any money, that a lot of the fun goes out of something? Well, and I realize that there's state statutes that say that counties have to provide for weekly service for their residents. We have, as I said before, we have lots and lots of rural residents who we can't find a way to provide weekly service economically. It's not sustainable to provide weekly service to all your residents, and you can say it however you want to. You can argue with the guys up in Topeka, but what I'm saying is there's a state statute that says that the county is responsible to provide for weekly service to all your residents.
We do have that. We have a transfer station. They can bring it out
Okay.
any day of the week, every week.
Yeah. My point is, if you were to hold my feet to the fire and say, Marvin, you guys aren't following the letter of the law, I say, I agree. If that's what it comes to, then I'm not interested in providing service. But if we can look at things reasonably with common sense, I provide the same amount of trash collection. I do it a different way. And if Waste Connections, they're all about low price. If Waste Connections can't provide the service weekly, I certainly can't. So I guess what I'm saying is the understanding has to be that I'm not following the letter of Kansas state statutes. We do this in many, and I would bet money that most of the counties in rural Kansas are provided in the same way, in either every other week or once a month service. I can't figure out a way to drive a garbage truck a lot of miles and provide weekly service sustainably.
Well, the blue truck didn't
Yeah.
provide weekly service to everybody.
Yeah.
And I
Never
haven't
did.
talked to a lot of people that have been canceled, but I would think a lot of them would probably be supportive of being picked up every other week. Bi-weekly.
Well, what I'm saying is, I'm gonna set a commercial container down, I'm gonna dump it every, once a month. A cart picked up once a month, or once a week, is the same as a 2-yard container picked up, has the same volume as a 2-yard picked up, once a month. And so that's the direction we're leaning, because, as I said, we do it in lots and lots of different places.
So in a sense, you are providing trash service once a week. You've applied enough storage for 4 weeks.
I like your argument.
I want to go back to Sharon's comment. Sharon, if this gentleman took decided that maybe he'd purchase a building up here in this county, if everything looked, I'm just, some shit. Did you say that if he purchased a building in here, then what would he have to do?
If it's in the city, it would fall to the city's
Okay, cities,
jurisdiction.
okay.
If it's in the county, it would fall under the county's jurisdiction. So it would require a public hearing process to obtain a conditional use permit.
For him just to store his trucks there without garbage in them?
Yeah, no different than we
It's-
have for a tower or for our building.
It's a commercial business not otherwise prohibited. So it kind of falls in that gray area. It's not agricultural, it's not,
Fit into a lot split type scenario too, wouldn't it?
it could.
Yeah.
But your trucks are going home every night, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just,
Yeah.
what happens if this gentleman, the reason why I asked that, if he opens a business or something like that, is it gonna create another issue for the next person, not just him? But, I don't know.
Make sure your neighbors like you.
I got a question.
They're the only ones that can protest.
Yeah, and they're.
Yeah, babe.
Sorry.
Sharon, what do you got?
I mean, the administrative regs pretty well cover anything that would be a public nuisance, so that's helpful.
Dave?
What do you offload your garbage at? In Marion or someplace else?
Well, at the Marion County Transfer Station, the way I understand it, taxes are collected by you guys
Yeah.
to fund that transfer station, and I can bring Marion County waste
Yes.
to the transfer station and not pay anything.
Yes.
So I would be hard pressed to not bring it here.
But you have to drive here though.
I have to drive here, that's right. And so, and, you know, for
Okay.
my last customer, it might be
Close to here.
18 miles or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, we were talking about how this might impact our level of trash receiving, you know. Waste Connections takes us back to Wichita, I guess.
Not all of it. I've seen the Waste Connections trucks up here.
Okay.
What are the hours at the transfer station? Who would know that?
8 to 4.
Josh Hausman.
8 to 4,
8 to 4?
Yeah.
and from 8 to noon on Saturday.
No. Oh, yeah. But Fridays is
Friday morning.
Friday mornings is designed for dumping recycling.
From 8 to 10.
So that garbage gets shut off on Friday morning until the recycling can be handled. And then
It's just
it
for-
resumes again after.
Just for 2 hours.
Yeah. So the city's bringing the recycling and everything on Friday morning.
What, the reason I find that interesting is because we have a holiday schedule that is based largely on the Reno County landfill, because that's our home landfill. And I'm not gonna say that counties take lots of holidays, but we.
Amen.
And as I've said before, a garbage man with no place to dump his garbage is kind of out of luck. And so if it's a holiday and the landfill is closed on Monday, we work Monday's route on Tuesday. And so I'm interested in the fact that I can't dump certain hours can't dump trash on certain hours on Friday. And so we'll take that into consideration as we plan our
I would venture to say something may need to change. We built a building a little bigger than what we've ever had before, and I don't think that the recycling that comes in Marion County would overtake half of that building.
I think we
And-
could
And now,
handle
hang
some-
on, Dave,
yeah.
hang on a second. I just think some reorganization with our people to train in a different way, because I've seen buildings our size have half, Emporia for sure, they was, the day we visited there, half of it was full, standing over here with recycling stuff, and yet they was having trash trucks coming in. So I know it can be done if the people that run the station know how to do it. And so I would venture to say, you bring us a proposal, we'll work with you.
Okay.
I mean, that's, to do something, because we're not gonna turn somebody down that's gonna bring us some trash.
Yeah,
As far as I'm concerned, that's my vote. Yeah,
Leave
Dave,
room
go
for-
ahead.
Leave room for 1 truck. I mean, that's all you probably would get in that 2-hour period in the mornings. We
I
can-
don't, yeah.
We can dump 3 wide.
I mentioned that, but I really don't think that a 2-hour window that trash is not allowed is gonna be a big problem for us.
It's just you gotta know that ahead of time.
I have to know it ahead of time.
So that way
Yes.
your routes for Thursday night are completed or whatever, business.
Right, and that's what, we're in the business, and we gotta make it work.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. And so somebody that has a trash route in our county, we wanna know how we can take care of it.
Any other questions for me before?
Anybody have any other
You got a
questions?
card?
I walked off with that, but Merrill does.
I've got Merrill's email too.
Okay.
I'd like to hear that other reason off air.
We did have a comment from the newspaper on that, that it should be shared. That there's no reason not to share it.
That's their opinion. Boom. I'll just let it go.
Go ahead.
Just let me know.
Want me to sit over
They can
here?
call Kent directly.
Yep. This is Calvin Weeby for the members that don't know him.
Yeah.
Calvin lives northwest, well, west and a little bit north of Durham, out toward the county line.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, for sure. But, we lost service a year ago when they stopped, and we haven't figured out anything to do with our trash yet, so you can kind of imagine it's not being done in the proper manner.
Right.
So we've been thinking about it for a year, but, you know, we knew that there was no way that there were, the few that got dropped a year ago, there was no way to make anything work economically. And we've done some guessing on basically the area north of 56. We've done some guessing on the amount of stops we'd have and all that. And it was interesting that Marvin brought up the weekly service or bi-weekly or however. And our weekly service, we've never been able to come within $40,000 of a profit in a year on our estimates.
On the numbers.
Yeah, so weekly service, it's, the way we see it would be a loss from day one for us. Bi-weekly, we think we could almost make it barely break even. So that doesn't really enthuse us very much. And that's with just guessing on the number of customers. We don't know. So maybe a little bit, or maybe a little bit ambitious on how many we sign on, we don't know. So.
It's the 2-yard theory.
Have you talked to any of the communities about what they pay for a contract?
Like Durham or Lincoln
Yeah.
or Tampa. I did call Durham, talked to the clerk, and she gave me some numbers, but she didn't give me, she gave me dollars per pickup for the residential, but not how many there were, so it's kind of a guess yet. She didn't really just care to just share those numbers. But I have talked to someone else that is interested in servicing just the town of Durham, so that's not a sure thing that would get Durham. Talked to the mayor of Tampa, and he didn't know how long their service was. He said they hadn't got any notice of being dropped or anything, so he was just. And Lincolnville's kind of that same way. Our friends from Lost Springs, I think, are considering Lincolnville. So that kind of puts us in a situation where it's only rural. Only rural, no anchors, if you will. It doesn't look very favorable. But we have not run the numbers on the monthly pickup. This paper she has doesn't allow it, so that's one of the questions I was gonna say. I mean, it's pretty clear based on Kansas law. It needs to be picked up once a week, but I do believe that if the county commissioners have a county solid waste plan, it can state otherwise than what that says, I believe. But I can't prove that. Oh, you might be able to know that.
Something I can check into.
I guess my only concern is you know, Noisley's are very interested in a chunk of it. But that still leaves another chunk that's unserviced. And what can we do to work with you or you and them to try to, because it ends up being a kind of an economic development. I mean, you got people that all of a sudden they say, well, we thought about building a new house out there or remodeling the old one we had, but all of a sudden there's no trash service. I think we're sticking a knife into a portion of the county that can ill afford it.
I sure appreciate you telling us what you just said to start with. If you've already experienced it, have you seen anything happening out there in your area since it happened a year ago as far as trash development, except for more people making trips, more people making trailers or something like that to haul it in, or personal?
All I really know, there is I think a 40-yard dumpster that some families went together on, and it's parked out in the country there somewhere. That gets picked up when they call and say it's full. So I don't know if it's not weekly, I know that. It's more like monthly or 6 weeks or something.
That was a group that went together to meet that need.
Right.
But I know that there's quite a number of others that don't have anything. And this deal is worse. Someone said something about Waste Connections leaving their bigger dumpsters, but there's a business there on 330th. There's also our church school at Goldenrod. They're both on that list of losing service with 4-yard dumpsters.
So they are losing.
So
they're on the list.
They're tied to the Salina circle then, more than the Wichita circle.
I don't know that.
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah.
And then Sharon brought up the conditional use permit, yeah. So I'm a farmer out in the country. So yeah, we would need something there, I think. I mean,
You have to sell him five acres and make him get the permits.
and your first meeting is when? January, February?
January 27th, I believe.
That's time.
We've got till tomorrow to get a plan in place.
It would just require 20 days ahead of that publishing in the newspaper. So there could be a special meeting held, but we're still required to have that notice. Unless there's anything that the commission can do to
Expedite.
Yeah, to expedite that on an emergency basis. I don't honestly know, and Brad's not here to ask. That's the scary part is if it's contingent on getting a CUP, are you gonna go out and purchase expensive equipment and start a business before you have that surety that the use will be permitted?
Yeah. One other thing that I know about Buddy being there, I was a city person, worked for the city before I went to a gas company 37 years ago, and I seen it come from where one dumpster or one little container where you put everything in, your recyclables and everything. You know, the elderly people, they don't have trash hardly. I mean, I'm getting to that point, except I still have, but not, I don't need it once a week. Once every other week would be plenty for me. And there's a lot of people that wouldn't even need it that. And so, but yet out in the farm, where they've got more stuff that they buy, goods and things, maybe that's a different world than in the town. So what you was talking about, the service not needed every week, that's so true. And you try getting some of these towns that we've even, just went to the One-Armed Bandit, Hillsboro's went to the One-Armed Bandit, I don't know what their schedule is now, but Marion, they've still got people on the back, and that's time and money. And so the One-Armed Bandits down from Waste Management's been a great thing I see for time and management, but yet they don't need to pick up every week. You could go to every other week and save some money somehow if we could keep the service that way. I think if Peabody was offered that, I'd hope our council would come to the public and ask, and then see if they could report back to the management company on something like that. See if, you know, to help save dollars somehow. So, but we want to be an open arms company or county to work with somebody. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, less chance we gotta have any kind of government involvement, I'm all for, so.
Well, Calvin, have you looked, how big of an area do you need to make work? I mean, there's gotta be a minimum.
Well, it's not, the area isn't.
It's the clientele.
It's the quantity in the area,
Okay.
or the numbers in the area.
Yeah, because the area you're talking about, there's not much quantity.
More sparse.
Like they were talking about Gossel, you know, and the further
Right.
east you go, you get into the Flint Hills, and so
Yeah.
right away there's
Yeah.
many more miles driven for the
Sure.
same number of stops.
Sure.
And we're the same way up there. We've got the hills
Mhm.
where there's not really very many people living, and you drive quite a few miles for everybody.
Right.
We got hills to the north, we got the hills there just north of Lehigh where the railroad goes. And then between Tampa and Durham, you know, there's a real sparse area in there with, and then just the normal population in the northern half of the county isn't anything like Gossel.
Right.
I mean, it's just, so we would probably need 200 stops total to.
Okay, that's
But-
kind of what I was,
Well, on weekly pickup, we would need more than that.
sure.
Our numbers aren't quite
I think
complete,
we
so.
decided weekly wouldn't work
Well,
anywhere.
no, weekly service is still available, it's just how you interpret it.
I love the way you think.
If it's already being stored, I really can see that.
Unfortunately,
I know
I've
there's
heard-
lots of areas in the state that do not get weekly trash pickup.
What I've heard from one client that was very upset was, well, she's got babies with diapers. More than a week doesn't work for her. She needs it picked up because of the,
Get it farther away from the house.
keep it further away from the house, yeah. But it comes back to each case is different.
They talked about having a metal, like a 2-yard.
Yes.
Versus a polycart. You know, a
Yeah.
polycart, normally they bring that up by their house and they roll it out to the road Monday, whereas a 2-yard is gonna stay where it's at.
Right.
Probably a little ways from the house.
Close and accessible to a road.
Yeah, just off the driveway, like another side of the drive or somewhere, you know, in a rural area that you can make that work fairly well. And that does help with that odor issue.
And you get to play the same game that we get to play in town, where other people stop off and use your dumpster because it's too close to the road.
Drive
Never
This-
heard of that.
Conditional use permit. The conditional use permit thing, though, that is fairly, I mean, if we make a decision to go forward, we don't really have an open door to do that until we know where we stand with the permit. I mean,
Well, that's why I was questioning, because I didn't understand how we can govern it. I mean, the business myself.
I think we can do an emergency use authorization, I think.
But
And if it
it's
doesn't-
like he's saying, until he knows he can get
Yeah.
200 customers, he's gotta look at break even to begin with.
Sure. Right, well,
So,
business, I mean, I get it, but most of the time, you never know what you're gonna get when you throw your dice. You just put your head down and keep going if that's what you wanna do.
I mean, it's a possibility if, you operated in Marion County over a period of time, you would get more and more and more. But you don't want to say, I have 3 years worth of losses before I hit break even by picking up more customers.
their thought was that takes the fun out of it, and that's true.
Right, right.
Well, pretty quick last time I placed.
Most businesses start that way though.
Well, I know, you're always, before you go to the bank, you try to.
Well, you try to have a good business plan.
You try to break even.
But what you're
Knowing the
doing-
banker's probably gonna say, this isn't really break even.
But what you're doing is you handcuffed him and said, we're not telling you whether we're gonna unlock the handcuffs. until you decide you're gonna do something, well, not exactly, but
Yeah.
we're, your folks are losing their garbage service
Yes.
today.
Mhm.
It's not next summer, it's today.
Like I said, I think we can handle something with
Maybe you
the
can
permit,
work under him, that's his umbrella.
but
I can't tell you that this is the same board that would be giving the final determination.
What, I
on
have
the
another
CUP,
question
so-
on all that. So
Yeah.
the cities are, so like if I would rent a lot in Durham and park the truck there, but yet my office is still at my yard, at my house in the country, where would that come in at as far as CUP stuff?
make sure Durham's okay with it.
Yeah, I think that would be more Durham's jurisdiction, where a home office could be permitted just as a home occupation.
Let me ask you this, Sharon, do you have a permit for M&K? I don't know where their headquarters are, but I hear Lost Springs.
I would, inside of Lost Springs?
Lost Springs is.
They're-
Sunflower Road, it's
incorporated.
rural.
It is?
They're incorporated.
Well,
so-
they're on the rural, it's on Sunflower Road.
Is it? I would have to check into that.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't honestly tell you.
We're talking about something, but I wanna make sure we're doing all across the board before we specify something. If we're not doing it, why?
Ask forgiveness later.
Does that work with the commissioners?
I think,
I mean, that could work on an emergency basis, even if he could rent somewhere in Durham or
Yeah.
gain permission to use somebody's space at Durham until a CUP could be granted. I think the only thing that the CUP would determine is what the conditions on the permit are. You know, do you have to have screening around your trucks? Does it need to have?
right, so if you have a spill, you can pull up the membrane, so you're not having an EPA issue.
Yeah, I mean, those are things that could
It's
be
really not
included
a-
in those conditions. It sounds to me like it's for the health, safety, and welfare of the county.
With the permission of the
So-
board.
I don't see the conditional use permit being, right now, it's a time factor, because if you and your son said, today, we're gonna do that, and we could expedite permitting, how soon would you be in business? 3 months?
Yeah.
I mean, just hypothetically. I know it's hard, because you gotta go find cars, you gotta find a truck that's gonna work.
Do you
Gotta
have
find-
trash trucks added to your Amazon cart already? Ready to click the button?
Normally if they're for
We have a
sale-
trash truck or two cited that is for sale that we could buy within a week, but probably more of a bigger thing, and the dumpster thing is a little bigger. You know, unless we can find used dumpsters. We've done some checking, this is when we were thinking about going more often, you know, I'm just trying to make that work. We were thinking of the 95 or 96 gallon poly carts. Jaron, correct me, are they 6 weeks out? With the holidays, it'd probably be 7.
6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks, so order today, we could, by the end of February, we could be rolling on them, but then the metal dumpsters were a little longer, I believe. Can't remember on that. There's not a lot of used metal dumpsters available.
With the permission of the commission, then, could we ask for our attorney to get us a ruling on emergency rules and regulations that we can invoke in this county?
Yeah, I think that's doable, and then the rest of the business plan, it's up to whether you think you could make it work or not. And if you pick up some areas down around anywhere, thank you for helping us in that place.
Well, can I ask a hypothetical question, and maybe you'll tell me I'm crazy, and maybe you'll tell me I'm crazy, but, if the Weebies bought equipment, could they subcontract to Nisley Brothers for a period of time until their permitting is done? If they met kind of what you would,
But then if our truck,
Can't
if it's contracted to them and it's parked on county property, then they would need the CUP.
Right.
that's true.
I wanna do is keep it simple, so.
I'm trying to think outside the box, and sometimes that gets me in trouble.
Your trucks will be on your property after your business is open, correct?
Well, we would plan on being
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's all coming down to just what's around his property and what's,
As long as you create a spill area, in my opinion, a spill area for where your trucks park, we can expedite it because of that handles our EPA responsibility.
does that become the county's or does it become his personally as
Well,
trying to meet the rules?
Yeah,
for
he's
the-
still gotta maintain where he parks the truck and make sure it isn't cited for, letting just oil leak on the ground.
My other question goes though, are we doing it already or are we not doing it? That's my question. I haven't heard nothing
We
about
did
it. In all the years I've sat here, I haven't heard nothing about making M&K have a spill permit or anything like that. And so if that's,
I mean, the only thing I'm going off of this is, I know that
that the big boys have to have it.
Rez had.
You guys have to have it?
No,
And-
never heard of this before.
And this just says, the person operating the collection system shall provide for prompt cleanup of all spillages caused by the collection operation.
Cause then you get the stormwater
So you want
stormwater people involved and all kinds of stuff when you start getting it down the ditches.
Well, and this is just household solid waste, it isn't hazmat, it's not, it should just be items that aren't otherwise permitted, they're not special waste, it's just household solid waste.
Look, that's, it's been a while since I've looked at that, but that sounds more like trash blowing out of the back of a garbage truck. I'm not sure that that's what it's saying, spillage or something.
Okay.
Okay.
Means that if it rains, water's gonna drain out through the trash through the bottom of the truck.
Should get in.
The truck is closed all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that'd be taking in a lot of water.
Marion City truck has a lot of water all the time.
Wow.
That's usually from the dumpster getting dumped, thrown in, pushed up.
They leave a trail down the alley.
Well, I'd just like to move forward and let both of these companies know that we're willing to do something. I'd like to get with Brad and see if there's any emergency rules that we have to follow or anything that for the county, either the zoning rules, state rules, you know,
But I think Nisley's could just go right ahead,
I don't see
go right to business
yeah.
Yeah, if they,
tomorrow.
if they see it profitable, go for it. We're not here to pick winners and losers.
No. But yeah, I still want to help somebody. I don't want to shut somebody down if we got some rules.
Try to encourage it, because
Yeah.
at some point, we have to have a service in the north part of the county. Whether it's the Weebies or someone.
That's the problem, we're gonna, if something doesn't happen soon, we're gonna have a much bigger issue.
We're gonna have a bigger issue with trash in the ditches. Because a lot of people are gonna say, I'm not driving 25 miles to the transfer station. When the county has a great ditch out there and they can pick it up from there.
But there is a few of us with gray hairs around here that know and remember that every little farm was 60 acres or 80 acres in our day, and all of them had a draw back here.
Yeah, you don't have to have gray hair to know that.
Oh, you don't have to have draw? Okay.
No.
So,
55
so
gallon drum.
anyway,
A
and
lot
that's
of that
not what we
stuff's
want to go back to.
still
by
in
any
there.
means. So, but it could happen. If
But we don't wanna encourage that.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no system to see the point.
Any final comments from you guys, anything?
Appreciate both of you coming.
All of you.
So we're free to go to work if we want to. That's the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
As far as.
Yeah, we got no reason, like I said.
You want to
we
be the
could've-
whole county, that's fine.
Well,
could've-
and that's part of my thing is the city versus rural collection. you know, the guys that come in, or the companies come in and just pick up the towns and leave the rural areas set. Well, they're taking the cream off the top, and then the rest of the community's in trouble.
If you guys could just talk Marion into privatizing, giving us the Marion, then we'd be good. We'd have it anchored.
Which is gonna, rural is gonna work for you around Gossel, but the north whole area, without the towns being part of it, I don't see that. And even that's gonna be a struggle. But whatever we can do to encourage it.
Yeah.
And I would hope that small towns would all go with the service that's picking up the rural, they would be receptive to giving them a priority for their community. I would hope.
I don't see any one of our north towns north of 56 having over a maximum of, there may be one town that may have 100 residents or spots to pick up. Other than that, the rest of them going to be under 100, some of them going to be under 50. Right. And I mean, that's just a number that I happen to be pretty familiar with.
But if you can pick up 50 carts in about a 3-mile stretch versus 5 miles from one cart, that's a big difference.
Big difference, yeah.
I'd somehow like to see it go together, but again, that's jurisdiction.
There's nothing saying that the county commission can't send a letter to the cities and just explaining the issue that's going on in the county and encouraging them to do that. I mean, you can't direct them, but you could certainly send them something saying,
Especially if you're gonna have your contract canceled within a year.
Well, yeah, if they can, most of them has where they can
get
cancel,
out.
yeah. But some cities may have, like the 7-year, was that Gossel that we was talking about?
Yeah.
7-year deal where they may have to stay in it for that. But some of the other towns, I don't know what they have.
I don't know
Franchise
exactly.
agreements, more or less, about
I
what I'm
don't
talking
know
about.
exactly
Yeah, I
how
don't know.
that is. Do they have a contract directly with every customer pickup, or do they have it with the city? And is every customer pickup paying a certain fee that these guys can't beat? I don't know the trash business.
There's no customer contracts.
That's what I mean, at Gossel.
When I moved to the country, I called and said I need picked up.
Yeah.
They stopped.
Are you talking about in municipalities?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is common for municipalities like Gossel to have an agreement with Waste Connections or Nisley or maybe to provide the service for
So-
everyone in that city.
So then the city charges the residents.
Yeah.
They do the billing. The city does.
And they're usually charging for water and sewer, and some places gas and electric heat.
But even your trash pickup, when it comes down to service, I don't pay my trash bill. They take my polycard away.
Sure.
There's no reason why I couldn't sign up for service with anybody else that would supply it.
In Hillsborough?
Yeah, right? Or am I obligated to only use that service?
it generally depends on,
City rules, like.
I mean, I'm completely happy with my service. I just say,
Generally, when we write an agreement with a municipality, it is an exclusive.
Okay.
That doesn't allow anybody else to come into town. And the reason is, we're guaranteed all 50 customers.
Yes.
Or all 25, or however many there are.
Yep.
And so, it's an economy of
Mhm.
scale stuff. If you get every other house, and Weebies are doing the other side, everybody loses.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. Well, again, thank you folks for spending some time with us, because it's a new dilemma to us. And I'm interested in hearing somebody who's thinking about picking something up and maybe starting in that part up there and doing something up there. Your service is already pretty close to this area down here. And you can look at the red dots over on this map and see lots of red dots, and then how they
Fade
flatten
out.
out as they go east and as they go north.
So are those dwellings?
Yes, those red dots. Was
Well,
at that
it's-
time, whenever that was published, I don't know.
it's an old,
It says 2019.
How can I get a copy of
I don't know.
Take a picture.
Yeah.
There's a name on the bottom
Yeah.
RNS Digital
I just thought they
Services.
might have it here.
Yeah, that was all drone.
That was on the draw, yeah, flyover.
You might be able to check with the mapping department in
Yeah.
the basement here.
And then you gotta check with her, cause she's got like 15 new ones that go on
I'll just take a picture.
Well, if there's no more comments, I'm gonna close this session then, unless somebody has something.
there. No, I just greatly appreciate both of you trying to do something for us.
Just one thought
Yeah,
before we
sure.
close. Does the county have any property up north that could possibly host a truck?
Yep. Pilsen, one spot.
Yeah, there's a,
Tampa.
there's a
West of
Tampa has a
Durham.
spot.
there's 2 road and bridge parcels west of Durham, right outside of Durham, and then one still one there on Diamond that they don't use anymore. I guess there's some telephone poles or something piled up there.
That's Road and Bridge.
That's what?
That's a Road and Bridge. I hadn't realized that.
That one and the one on the curve going out of Durham.
Finish your thought on if it's county property.
Well, I don't wanna say too much about that, but, I mean, it's just a thought. If the county has that land use for other similar
Equipment.
uses, you know, is that an option for someone to park, to be able to have an agreement with the county to park their trucks there?
Under emergency conditions that we're in, they've discontinued our service, and to me, that's an emergency.
Yep.
And we're gonna make it available to somebody, so.
Yeah, I could see the emergency.
Tina, are you
You're
know
gonna make
something?
my head explode.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, let it out.
No,
We-
I
I
just
mean-
think, I really think you need your attorney to weigh in on that,
Yep.
because you
Yeah.
have the
But we're not-
public-private issue where you could get into some trouble there if you're not careful.
And then
Can I-
every time somebody comes along and says, well, you did it for the trash, now
Oh,
now I got a
Yeah.
livestock
You would just
trailer,
need
I
to
got
make
a
sure
livestock
that-
trailer and everybody's
Yeah, go
complaining
ahead.
about it.
I wanna go to bat for Weeby here. I wanna say, look, he doesn't wanna park his trucks somewhere else. He wants to park it at his place.
Right.
And
And no
if you
less-
guys simply say, we're gonna work towards giving you guys a conditional use permit, and until you get that done, you won't wanna say it right now, but
Yeah.
you might wanna
Yeah.
just tell him, look, do what needs to be done. That's the emergency.
Yeah.
Don't park it at my yard somewhere else.
Yeah.
He wants to park it at his place.
What's the cost to apply for a conditional use permit?
It's $200 plus publication fees, which
Emergency service situations, could you waive the fee?
it's a
We'll find
service
out.
to the county residents.
Yep.
I mean, that's.
Waive
So,
the fee.
so to
I
me,
think
I mean,
we
I
did.
think that's more of a concession that could potentially be made because of an emergency circumstance with Brad's approval.
Mhm.
But I don't think you would wanna get into anything where you're providing something special for a private business
Yeah.
that you're not gonna be willing to provide for any private business in the county, so.
We'll be providing it for the emergency. That's what we would be doing. So,
It's all right how you word it.
we will get with Brad and find out what we can do and see, that's number one.
Half a yard a week.
And
That's a weekly
maybe we
service.
can get the answer, the same answer, and get back to you. As long as you give
We hope you
somebody-
don't just drop the ball. We wanna encourage you.
Give Tina your information for
Or do you want to
Contact.
work with Sharon?
So Sharon give it to Sharon so she can work, so we can do that, but she can stay on top of what we find out from Brad. Brad can refer to you and keep you in the loop too, so you know. And then we'll find out later on. Actually,
Yeah,
yes.
we need to decide if we're actually gonna do this.
Well, yeah, right, but that's,
So.
we may have somebody else pop up too.
Is there a potential if somebody can apply for a conditional use permit, but then, I mean, that doesn't mean that there's necessarily
Obligated.
always gonna open a business, right?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
It's not like, they could
Yeah.
just not use that.
That's right, then the CUP would just be invalid.
Right, so it's not like if you get that permit, that means, oh, now you gotta do it.
Oh, yeah.
The private sector's always able to fold, or sell out, or do whatever.
All righty, thank you guys, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
coming.
you. Yep. Now we'll take a quick picture here. yourself.
I don't have mine.
That's okay. You want to put your content information?
So is this you guys?
You bet.
I think also.
Yoder?
Can't pose it.
I'm the only Yoder.
Oh.
Marvin. He's in Knightley.
Marvin.
Yeah, so Marvin's the owner and Jordan is his son.
Okay.
And then I'm just.
I caught the Yoder and I was thinking Hutch and I just,
You-
yeah.
you- Okay.
I got.
Yeah,
I
there's
got
two
your
other
email.
Yoders that live in his neighborhood.
And my dad's a minnow too.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Right, thank you guys. See you, Weebies.
Yep. Good being with you. Do we need a visit out here somewhere?
Fill out that application.
Thanks, Calvin.
Right?
Yeah, you can always drop it.
It'll take no longer to catch a violation than it would for them to get the CUP.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Alrighty. Well, just a note to the public is we're trying to face a problem here that we don't know all the avenues by any means. We're trying to find an avenue to help. And so, any,
Part of them, I think, will be helped
Yeah.
soon.
And so-
Part,
so
at least those up to 56.
maybe, you know, that's, any commission, other commissioner have any other comments there?
Just thank you to Kent for reaching out, because I
Yeah.
think you solved it.
Yeah.
Like you said, part of the problem, I think, is going to be addressed quickly. It's the other part we're gonna struggle with.
Yeah.
But thank you for doing that.
Yeah, you know, when you get a 14-day window, really, you can't do it justice.
Right.
Shit, or Tina, do you have any final things that you need to address? Okay. Any other commissioner, any comments, anything before we start? Okay, public forum, anybody on there?
There's only 3 names that I don't recognize.
Nothing, nobody popping in the chat or anything like that right now. Nobody's in the room, everybody's left. Not hearing nothing, not seeing nothing. We'll move on to commission comments. I do have a comment, and I'd like, remember from me, and I think the whole commission, we'd like to thank whatever department helped you, Tina, all your girls, if any other departments helped with this, with the Christmas supper for the county. I want to say thank you to everybody, because it was very neat. People always seem to enjoy getting out. I heard a lot of comments at the door at the Lake Hall that, hey, thank you for this, we appreciate this. And I think that's probably, I don't know what the rest of you heard too, but I think that's what I heard at the door, and so. It's a good thing if we can dream up something, keep it going and expand it of some type, well, I think it's more than good. So.
Great. Well, I'll pass that along to my staff. It was basically, you know,
They
my
did
staff.
most of the work.
Yeah.
Most of them helped me outside over here. So,
Okay.
if you were on your own, I guess I'm the favorite. So.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you had 3 helpers.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I brought my daughter on top.
Luckily, we found a door opened on a house.
Yes.
With him.
And I think maybe
Nothing's a
start
library.
planning for
Yeah.
commission spots where it's nice and warm, so.
Yeah.
I have to break out
We
those
weren't
That
fence.
wind was a little chilly.
Yeah.
Weren't expecting it to be quite that cool.
Otherwise, and what's on our calendar here coming up? We got anything?
One thing at some point you need to probably decide at the end of December if you're gonna have a meeting on the 28th and the 30th. You don't have to decide today, but we'll probably need to know that next week.
But if we have just one, it's going to be the 30th.
Yes, because that's payday.
So it'll be at 9 in
It's
the
whether
morning
you wanna do a
until
Tuesday,
whenever.
Thursday, or just do the.
Only other thing that I know that's coming, that's really keeping, it's got a hot fire behind us that we're not talking about very much, and is planning a session to look at what we've heard from Road and Bridge, and a planning session to hear, she hadn't presented everything, the new treasurer. Susan, she hadn't presented, has she presented everything that she's wanting for her? Or is it through?
She has job descriptions edited. there was potential of her wanting to add a level in her office,
Yeah,
but that's the same thing kind of that I had asked for in my office, and they said it's not appropriate, so I don't know if they can, you know, really,
The planning.
to be able to follow through on that would be helpful, to be able to have permission to consult with her on a couple of things, you know, as we go along, but.
Okay.
She does have the job descriptions edited, but as of right now, that's kind of just paused.
Okay. Yes, Dave?
And just to follow up on the American Rescue Plan and the employee
Yes.
premium pay, with the timeline of the framework and actually getting that, realistically, we're not gonna be able to get to that point this year. It'll be the framework and then hopefully the premium pay in January.
Yeah, January or February, I'd say would be the
We can
time frame that
backdate.
you would be able to do
Right, but
that.
just, I know last week we pushed pretty hard for it this year, and I don't want employees getting their
Hope so.
plans made, but
Keep
it's.
it, keeping the transparency.
Let's keep the timeline realistic,
Yeah.
which would be framework.
Yeah.
And then get it actually enacted in January. I was just trying to be too aggressive.
Pretty aggressive, too.
Yeah, do it right.
There's nothing wrong with being aggressive.
But it's not pushing it off,
Yeah.
just being realistic.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I did have one question from a water district. They kind of wondered
Yeah,
what the time frames were, and so.
I have no more comments. Do I need any more comments? If not, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a second. Motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0.
Good enough.